Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Yes, hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first Ask Rob and Rob of 2017. We're looking forward to answering a lot of great property questions from all our lovely listeners this year, starting right now. We've got a case of great minds thinking alike this week. We've got a couple of questions on the same theme. We'll find out what that theme is in just a minute. But first, we imagine that if you haven't submitted a question to Ask Rob and Rob already, you've made it your New Year's resolution to do so. So let's help you put that into action.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that the number has not changed this year. It's exactly the same as it always was. And that is, I'm sure you've got it on speed dial, but just in case, it's 013 808 00035. Alternatively, you can use the web and you can go to thepropertyhub.net/ask. And that's exactly what these two lovely individuals have done, and quite nicely, asked quite similar questions. So let's listen to them back to back, and then we'll come back with our answers.
Hi Rob and Rob, this is Addy from Kent. Thanks for an awesome show and enriching content that makes us all better and wiser property investors. My question is regarding property crowdfunding, for example, companies like Property Partner and Property Moose, and what your thoughts are on these platforms. Would you recommend these as part of one's property or investment portfolio? If you could please answer what your thoughts would have been pre-Brexit and now post-Brexit. Thanks again and keep up the great work. This is Addy. Bye.
Hi Rob and Rob, my name is Jessica. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I'm wondering if you have any experience or advice with crowdfunding through an established platform or website such as the House Crowd, Property Moose, etc. I've seen them featured on reputable blogs and websites which claim that investors have seen returns in the region of 5 to 10% over 8 to 12 months on small investments around £1,000 or less. It's tempting because it involves much less capital and less work on my part. No tenant or buyer searching, applying for mortgages or managing the properties, and the rates are better than leaving my money in a savings account. Since it is completely managed by other people, I don't know if that makes it a risky bet because I have little control, or in fact the vetting process by these platforms makes them safer than, say, one single property I would invest £30,000 in. So my question is, what do you think about property crowdfunding as an option to diversify a portfolio that already includes a couple of normal buy-to-lets? Can they be trusted, and is it a good way to earn returns on money that isn't enough to buy a whole new property just yet, but wouldn't earn much just sitting in the bank? Thanks for your time in advance and keep up the great work.
Really good questions, and I'm glad that they've been asked now because we last tackled this topic on the podcast quite a long time ago now. And the fundamentals of it probably haven't changed, and we can run over those in a second. But I think that certain things have changed, and I think that our thoughts on it have matured a little bit. So it's a good time to talk about it. So let's start with the drawbacks. And last time we talked about it, we talked about these and these are kind of deal breakers for us. So the two big drawbacks with crowdfunding are firstly that because you don't have complete control, you're not necessarily going to be able to exit when you want to. So if you think that there's an absolutely perfect time to dispose of the property for maximum gain, you're not going to be able to do that unless everybody else involved in it wants to as well. Or there will at least be some decision-making structure that you don't have sole control over. The other is that when you don't have control over it, in terms of doing the lettings and the management, you haven't necessarily employed the person who's doing it. You don't know who it is, whether they're doing a particularly good job or how much they're charging for it. So those are the downsides, basically both relating to loss of control. But I think there are definite upsides as well.
There are. And the main thing is you can actually get involved in property at pretty much any level. Property investment is a cash-intensive game. You need a lot of money to buy your own buy-to-let property. But with the growing popularity of crowdfunding, it's allowing people with smaller funds to get involved and have a taster. And I think that can be commended. That's a good thing because it's either do nothing until you've got 25, 30 grand plus, or you do a little bit now and get a taster. And I think that has its merits. One of the big drawbacks, as Rob mentioned, is the lack of control. But when you have control, a lot of the learning comes as well. So if you can't invest in property yourself, make sure you are listening to podcasts like this, reading books, and absorbing yourself in other ways best you can to try and build on your knowledge, because it is so hands-off, which again is another plus point for crowdfunding, because it is so hands-off, that the learning part can be bypassed, which I do think is important. I'm all for running a portfolio and systemizing it and having the least input as possible. Absolutely. But the real learning is in the doing. And that's something we say over and over again. But big plus points are anybody at any level can pretty much get in, and it is completely hands-off for those busy individuals.
Yeah, the thing that I would say is that you've got just as much research to do as you would have done before, because you're not only researching the property, and I'd still make sure that you research the property in exactly the same way as you would a property that you were buying for yourself 100%. But then you also need to research the platform as well. So that's an extra layer of research. You need to check what their plans are, what their track record is, how the whole thing is structured. There's a lot to look into. But having done that, as Rob says, you can be completely hands-off. So it's going to be interesting to see how this sector matures over the next few years. One of the major drawbacks with property in a lot of people's minds is that it's illiquid and it's hard to get proper diversification. So if there was a world where you could have exposure to 100 different properties and you could buy and sell shares in those really easily, depending on how you thought things were going, that would be fantastic in many ways. We're a long way from that now, but it's going to be interesting to see where things end up.
Yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. I think there's going to be more innovations around crowdfunding. There's going to be more interesting companies to launch in the future. So one to watch, definitely. Another thing to watch, Rob, is now you're in a new year. You probably want to make the best of 2017. You up for a good year, Rob? A good year in property?
Yeah, I think 2017 has got a good ring to it. I think we can make this a great year. But if only there was a way of guaranteeing that was the case.
Well, it's funny you say that, Rob, because I have that guarantee, sort of. Disclaimer, cannot guarantee. But the guarantee, sort of, is that if you go on a Property Hub Summit, you possibly may have a better property year. But all silliness aside, you will definitely learn a lot and improve and be more efficient with your property investing. So we don't talk about the summits anywhere near as much as we used to, because quite simply, they sell out months and months in advance. So probably as we record this, the next one is already sold out. But we forward release them as we go. There's only going to be 4 this year. My guess is, as this goes live, the first one's already sold out. We'll see. Check that out. If there are any places, grab them. But realistically, you might have to get on Summit 2 or 3 now, because they are going fast. There's only 4 this year. We're not going to do any more. This is not when the 4 are gone, then we release another 4. We just simply haven't got the time to do more than 4. So if you want to take advantage of the summits or find out more about what they are and what's involved, go to thepropertyhub.net/summit. Find out more then. But what I can promise is that you will enjoy it and get a lot from the day.
Yep, always really good fun and a great way to build your network and meet other kind of motivated people trying to do the same as you. So we hope to see you at some point this year, but we definitely want to see you this Thursday when we'll be back with yet another episode of the Property Podcast. Until then, enjoy your week. We'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.